So I reiterate here, the bill is dead.
The story of this great city is about the years before this night. We are free!
Hey, welcome to a new episode of Ho Ho Hong Kong. I am back. I'm your host, Mohammed Magdi.
You survived.
I'm still alive.
Wow, look
Yeah.
at you.
I think that might have been a plot from you to just get me off the podcast for a couple of weeks. We ate the same thing.
Yeah. I tried it last night, but I remembered I was like, wait, he has to actually eat the physical food again. I can't will him into sickness again.
No.
It doesn't work
We
that
might
way.
get Stuart Palm up here to psych me into getting sick every time before we record. Oh man, that was brutal.
Yeah.
So for you guys who haven't caught up, Vivek and I had a show together on Saturday night last week, basically,
Yeah.
like about a week ago from now. And after the show, we just grabbed skewers at an unknown place in Wan Chai that we always go to. I just don't want to throw them under the bus. They're
Yeah.
actually really nice. That we always go to after shows. And then I've had something different though. Like every time I ordered one thing, that night I decided to be a bit adventurous.
Oh, and you tried that other new thing and bam,
the
that
other
gets
new
you.
thing. Yeah, but you had the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're completely fine.
I don't know. I maybe my body's in denial. Maybe I actually did get sick, but I was like, I can power through it.
Yeah.
I'm reading the different books or something. You know, like one of those like
You
affirmation
just watch
books.
like Tony Robbins or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. He's like, you're not sick. I'm not sick.
You know what I realized? I think I might have been away from home for too long, so I have
Yeah.
like white people's stomach now.
I think so.
It's not good.
Yeah. You've been privileged too long.
I have been privileged too long.
Your white
yeah.
privilege has actually kicked in.
Yeah, Hong Kong has not been good for me.
Man. Well, if you want to know how Mohammed is doing, if he's well or sick, you can always follow him on socials, which is
Yeah, the other Mohammed. I
Yeah.
am there. I've been posting a bit of about my dog and me being sick because
Yeah.
I'm just at home sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, follow me. How about yourself?
at Funny Vivek. No more letter M. Bye bye letter M. Don't need that letter M. Damn you letter M. Go away out of my face.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so
Is there
happy.
any update on this saga or that's it? It's
So the
settled now?
YouTube is still stuck in Vivek Malbani because
Yeah.
the Funny Vivek guy has no contact information and there's
Wait, so there is a funny Vivek on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was like
Nice.
part 3. I'm like, forget the trilogy. I don't
So
need
did
that.
you message him?
I can't. There's no
Oh.
way to contact the Funny Vivek guy. He has
Yeah,
like
but
one
on
video.
YouTube
No,
page.
the
there's-
About doesn't have a contact.
Really?
Yeah, I know. This guy's like super incognito.
Oh wow.
He's
Okay.
probably the brother of the Facebook guy. You know, they're like, all right,
It
let's
might
get
be the
him.
same guy. He's like, all right, I'm done.
Exactly.
I'm done with you.
Wait till he deletes the page.
Actually, I have a bit of an announcement to celebrate me not dying of food poisoning.
Yeah.
Actually, no, this is for the listeners of the podcast. We've talked about this for a while, and for just as a bit of an appreciation to everyone who's been going through this journey with us, we have a promo code for the backstage shows. So basically, if you're buying any ticket for any of the backstage shows from now until January 29th, basically all the shows through December and January, you can use the promo code HOHOHK21 and get 15% off on all the advanced tickets. So basically, if you haven't come to backstage shows for a while, just buy a ticket for you and your date or your enemy and use HOHOHK21 and you get 15% off all the way through December and January.
Nice. Actually, I also have a promo code. What you do, you go to the website show.funnyvivek.com.
Nice.
And then the promo code is where you have to enter your credit card number. You write your credit card number, right? That's your promo code. And then just press submit.
It's not a good.
and
We're losing listeners right now.
It will
Vivek.
promote you into my audience. That's what it's going to promote. Anyway.
terrible.
All right. So we have a lot of shows happening. I'm actually performing this Saturday at Backstage.
Oh, that's
for Brian
right.
Bentley's show.
Yes.
So anybody, I tell you what, I will give you guys a promo. If you come to the Brian Bentley show this Saturday at Backstage, and after the show you come up to me and be like, dude, I want to come to your solo show on Tuesday, 21st December at the Applause Pavilion, Ocean Park at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Which Mohammed is
hosting
hosting.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I will actually add there and then give you a secret promo code.
Nice. You do have
Yeah.
one.
I do have one.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. It's
That's so they can actually the best offers that they come to Brian Bentley's show.
Yeah.
Use HOHOHK21 to get 15% off.
Yes.
Then you get your promo code.
Yeah, and
to-
they get a certain percentage off depending on how my set goes that night.
So they're getting no percentage. Okay. They're gonna pay extra.
Exactly. All right. Anyway, so
Let's get to our guest. Very exciting today. We have Justin Lim. Justin, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thanks. I just shot a wedding yesterday, which got pretty raucous at the end. They were doing like tequila and stuff.
And just to clarify, by shot a wedding, you
Oh, sorry, yeah.
People don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah,
You're like,
I'm
I
sorry.
just-
I'm obviously going straight into it, but yeah, I am a professional photographer based here in Hong Kong. I've been doing that for probably on and off for about 15 years, but definitely full time for the last 10 years. And I do weddings and kid events and a couple of fashion things here and there.
Yeah.
And
what's the percentage of wedding gigs versus all the other gigs? Like, would you categorize yourself as wedding photographer or a photographer that does weddings?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think the majority of Hong Kong wedding photographers tend to just specialize solely in weddings. But actually, I like to kind of have a kind of mixed business, as it were. So I would probably do about 70-80% weddings, 20% child and family shoots.
Yeah.
And then I got maybe 10% doing like corporate gigs for like brands here.
Yeah, that's a smart move because like you shoot them during the wedding and you like give it like a few months time. You're like, hey, so someone's pregnant, so I do photos for kids as well.
Yeah, actually,
Nice.
it's a pretty huge business in the sense that a lot of clients are very brand loyal, right? So once you've shot their wedding, they tend to want you over and over again when they have kids.
Yeah.
The downside obviously is they have a divorce or whatever. Then suddenly you're like this
I was
curse,
about to
right?
ask you. Yeah, exactly. Do you also shoot divorces?
I've heard actually in the US, so in the wedding industry, that's a bit of a thing now. That some people who get divorced, they get a photographer just to capture their divorce party, like them ripping up the papers and setting fire to their ex's photos.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that's going to take on in Hong Kong, but they like to burn papers on the road in Hong Kong. So
Fair enough. Yeah. Something died. The wedding died. The marriage died. So
That marriage died.
Yeah. But let me ask you this though, like, so when you take photos for your clients and stuff for the wedding, do you have like a clause in the contract where it says you get to keep the photos and during the divorce, if they want you to delete it off your hard drive, they got to pay more? Do they have that?
No, but maybe that's something I should put in.
I'm telling you, man, this Indian businessman's, gears are turning.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about it that way. Actually, I mean, I think the other thing about getting a bit more serious here, I think I've had obviously like by law of averages, I've had clients who have been divorced. I think sometimes in Hong Kong culture, maybe they kind of keep it under wraps more, like whereas like I think in the US or UK maybe they're a bit more showy, like hey, I got divorced, let's go out and drink. And so I think that's maybe one aspect because I literally last night just ran into one client who I shot his pre-wedding thing maybe like 12 years ago or something. And I suspected he was divorced for a while. And then like clearly last night I saw another woman with him. So basically straight out I said to him like, so you're not obviously with that girl anymore? And he's like, yeah.
I mean, maybe he was. That's a weird question.
Yeah, well, that's another story. We have
a different arrangement now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
but no, he confirmed that,
the most important thing, did you give him his card? Like, so when you marry this one, just contact me.
Do you have an offer or second?
50% discount?
Well, I'll tell you another funny story, which is obviously no names mentioned, but I shot a wedding for a divorce lawyer last year. So as in her own wedding, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then suddenly after I shot that wedding, I started getting like 4 or 5 offers to shoot weddings of, shall we say, slightly older women. And then I figured it out. All these women were her clients who were like on their second or third weddings.
Oh, look at you.
And she had referred me to them, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, great, this is great. Because, by the time they get to their second or third wedding, they're a bit jaded. So a lot of them were just saying to me like,
and they've also had everybody's half of their shit. So they have a lot of money.
So these women were saying to me, just shoot what you want. We don't really care.
Yeah.
We've been married like 2-3 times already. So just do what you want.
Like whatever, man.
That's a good business.
It was a good business. Yeah. So I have to thank that lawyer. She was very kind to like give me her clientele.
Actually, are there any
famous
famous people's weddings that you can talk about? Like, I don't know if you can mention names or not, but even if you can't, is there any high profile weddings that you have done that you remember?
I've done quite a few high profile weddings, but I think the interesting thing about saying high profile in Hong Kong is that sometimes high profile in Hong Kong doesn't necessarily mean that they're a celebrity that's famous for like a movie or like a comedy or whatever. Sometimes high profile in Hong Kong just means rich.
So it can be as an example, Alan Zeman, someone like that.
Exactly, from a rich family. Yeah, sure. I have done a few like that for sure. And I think it's very interesting in the sense that a lot of the rich clients in Hong Kong, some of them are super nice people. You wouldn't have thought so, but you also get the stereotype that some of them can be really difficult. Yeah. I mean, we all know the bridezilla stereotype in weddings, right? And that does happen here.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And again, crazy rich Asians, all those stereotypes. But I mean, for sure, there are stories like that are very, very prevalent in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Do you get to take photos, especially at weddings, where you have taken the photo and then you're like, oh no, you shouldn't have shot that. Like no one should see this.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's very difficult to not obviously I won't name names, but again, coming back to the whole divorce thing, I remember I shot a wedding in Soho maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was for an expat couple.
Yeah.
And so she was super stylish, amazing dress. The husband too, he was a really cool guy. So I thought, this is a good gig because all the photos I'm getting are popping off. They get to the after party in Elgin Street or Peel somewhere. They're doing shots. It was like basically going crazy, and I was loving it. I was in the after party doing all these crazy like clubbing style shots.
Yeah.
So eventually, a couple months later, I send or whatever it was. A couple weeks later, I send the shots to her, and she writes back to me on WhatsApp, and she's like, "Justin, I love your work. I love 499 out of the 500 shots." I was like, "Oh, which is the one shot you didn't like?" So apparently, there was this one shot I did of these two people making out on the dance floor, like blouse half ripped, and she's like, "Yeah, they're both married to other people."
Nice.
And you captured the moment.
Yeah.
Was it like kind of like blurry in the background, or was it just like a candid shot?
They were literally going at it the whole night, and I thought they must be like really happy, like guests, right?
So you're
like just a couple that's together, and I thought in the moment,
Nice.
I mean, obviously nothing obscene or explicit, but yeah, they were really kind of like getting into each other, right? So then I thought, okay, that's a real moment. That's what as a photographer you
So
want.
I think that obviously, I am sure you have done this.
Yeah.
This is when you start asking for more money, so you don't release the photo. 100%. There's no question you did this, right?
The blackmail aspect has kind of popped into my mind a few times.
How can you not do that? Is that even illegal?
Yeah.
I have. Well, they did that. I took the shot. I mean, like
You took the shot.
Yeah.
The shot is your property. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna give you a higher price for this photo. That's not really blackmailing, is it?
No, you have different tier system. Like, okay,
Exactly.
for $100 I'll blur them slightly. For 200, I'll pixelate them. For 300, I might put
100 Hong Kong dollars. This is going on Instagram right now.
Exactly. And if you don't reply me within 24 hours, they're like, what? I can imagine that moment. But it's moments like these where you're like, I'm definitely keeping the raw copy of this photo.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because like when those two divorced, they'd be like, can I please have that photo? I want to show this to my ex. To be like, way ahead of you, asshole.
I mean, again, another photographer cliche, but obviously, like in the course of doing so many weddings over the years, not so much with like the local clients or the local couples, but definitely with the expat couples, you see a lot of wardrobe malfunctions, nip slips, all kinds of things that didn't make the cut right. And I like to think of myself as a professional. They all stay on some spare hard drive somewhere.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, like there'd be one day where they want to show the grandkids.
Well, they never see the light of day, but I keep all my data.
Yeah, I think I'm like you. Like I'm the type of guy that I will archive everything, even if I'm like, there's no way in hell this will ever be used or released ever. But I just want to keep it just because you never know.
Yeah, well, photographers tend to be very anal about these things. We just keep
actually keep everything.
Like records. Well, yeah, I think I have records going back all the way like 10 years, and I actually like data. Cloud storage is a big issue as a photographer.
Of course. What do you use?
Well, I'm on Dropbox Professional, but I've got Google Drive and all kinds of
Same,
other things
dude.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. That's big for me.
Yeah.
But okay, so photography. Now, I'm always curious about like how did you even start this whole thing? Because see, everyone's got a camera, and I'll tell you this: I have so many uncles who are like, "Oh, I'm a photographer."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, let's calm down." Okay.
Yeah, I took a pretty nice photo yesterday at Cyberport of the sunset. I'm like, I think I should just get into this business.
Yeah, exactly.
This photo is amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever, man. I got this.
Should charge people money now.
So first of all, like photography, was it always a passion, or you just fell into it, or just one day you were like, oh, what is this machine I can press on?
Yeah, it's one of those funny stories. Actually, I'm kind of like a Hong Kong auntie, public enemy number one, because I had my corporate career. I was a lawyer, right? And not a very good lawyer, but a
it's
lawyer
actually
still.
it seems to be a pretty common thread in our podcast.
Yeah.
We have a lot of guests who were into something and completely just switched gears and got into something different.
Yeah. But I think I was an unlikely lawyer in the sense that although my father was a lawyer, my mother is very creative, so that's probably where that comes from, because my mother is very artistic.
Yeah.
And she used to design jewelry and paint, and she brought me up doing those things.
Yeah.
So I went to law school because I had the grades, but even within the first week of law school, I'm like, this is not really for me.
Yeah.
So even when I was a teenager, I was already dabbling a bit with photography. You would never think at that stage it's a profession, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that this is like a joke. And so like even now, I've been a professional for like 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
You'll still get aunties coming up to you saying, when are you giving up this hobby of yours?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't actually realize it's a business now.
Yeah.
But I kind of fell into it that way. So I came back from the UK. I had my law degree from the UK. I was in practice here for a little bit. I went in-house with one company, and I just thought, I don't enjoy law. And I was doing the photography on the side. I have to shout out my boy Lester, who was running a photography studio in Hong Kong at that time.
Yeah.
He kind of brought me on, mentored me a bit, and I thought, maybe this is worth a shot. But of course, it's really scary when you give up your office job to do something like this, because you don't know where the next paycheck's coming from, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, I thought it was risky, but I guess, without trying to talk myself up, I kind of knew I had the ability to do it, and I knew that everything I did was kind of well received, and you kind of have to build your confidence that way.
Yeah.
And then the more I did, and the other funny thing I think about being a professional photographer in Hong Kong is, of course, everyone looks at it as a creative, artsy-fartsy job.
Yeah.
But actually, you have to be very on point as well, right? Because you're dealing with big brands, and in Hong Kong, as we know, there's a lot of money circulating in every industry, right? Event industry, whatever. So you still have to be really on point and professional as well.
But I mean, when you were in your old law job and everything, was it like every day you're just like, what am I doing? I don't like it? Or were you just like, I want to try something different. I just feel like a change. Because like, I'm trying to think of the moment that it kind of clicked that photography is the path. Like, I'm trying to picture you at the photocopying machine. You're like, I could do this. These pictures I'm taking with this machine, this is fantastic. What can I do more with this? What was the moment that clicked photography for you?
Well, I don't know if I can pinpoint it on one moment. I think basically I knew I was very frustrated doing what I was doing. In terms of like the office job. I had come to a point where I knew I wanted to do something else. I didn't know whether it was going to be photography.
Okay.
So actually what happened was I quit my job first, which is, almost suicide anyway.
Every auntie is
Then
like...
I spent 2 months sitting there doing nothing, thinking, what am I going to do in my life? I was applying for all these roles and stuff. And then I thought, I have a photography portfolio, and like I said, I'd been lucky enough to already do some gigs, and I'd done shoots for like brands like Isola, Key Club, so I knew there was something there. I just didn't know whether it was something I could transfer into a talent. And then the other thing was, this is kind of like pre-Instagram days, so we're talking about like 2003, 2004. I was on those kind of photo sharing sites like Flickr. And I was actually gaining momentum. So
Flickr,
in those days, I had
in
those days I had like 8,000 followers, which today sounds like nothing, right? But in those days, wow, you have 8,000 followers.
Right? The internet had like 9,000 users only.
So I knew that somehow there was traction. I just didn't know whether it could parlay into like some professional career. And it still sounds weird to even call it a career, right?
Yeah, true.
And I'm still 15 years down the line now.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, photography, comedian, people are still like, so wait, hold on a second. People actually pay for this? I could do that. And I think this is the parallel we always have, is that these sorts of careers, everyone seems to be able to do it, but not everybody is able to make a career out of it. And that's the challenge I'm always curious about, like at what point and what were the stepping stones? Like, for example, with comedy, it's no longer like, I just gotta be funny. There's more to the business than just being funny. I'm sure in photography, it's like, you can take the great photos, but that's not part of the business. The business is like dealing with the client, scheduling, time management, explain to the client, okay, this is how it works. You cannot Photoshop your wife's face with, Cindy Crawford. It doesn't work that way. So, like,
I mean, you can. It just
you can, but not for this brand.
I had a request like that once, but I'll tell you about that later.
Oh man, he's like in my wedding, like, so just help me out. Like, give me one photo, just one photo.
Can you make my wife less dark?
Well, in fact, I'll tell that story now. So basically, this was a wedding from about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and in terms of weddings, I was still relatively inexperienced. I've been shooting weddings for maybe 15 years, but I was starting to gain traction and get into those bigger ones, right? So this one was like one of the big hotels in Hong Kong. And so I did all those group shots, where people are standing on the stage and looking happy and cheesy, the very Hong Kong style ones. And then again, same thing, I get an email like maybe 2 months down the line. She's like, oh, I love the photos. Just one problem. There was this one photo that you did all the photos of my team with the boss there. Like, I think her boss is from England or the US or something. And he looks really pissed off in all the photos. So what would you mind? Like, I took this headshot from LinkedIn. Can you paste his head, like his smiling face on the photos? I'm like, then I was like, but won't he know when you show your office mates your photos and stuff? She's like, just do it. So I did it, and you get things like that all the time.
That's crazy. He's like looking at the photo, like, I actually smiled. What the hell? I don't remember smiling the whole time.
Also, wouldn't it be like, if he is the common problem in like 15 photos, maybe his face is the problem. It's not your photography or him being grumpy. He's like actually has a sad face.
I mean, I don't want to advertise I do things like this a lot, but for sure you get some very strange.
Do you get people who are like, oh, I look fat or whatever? Can you slim?
All the time.
Yeah, right.
And do you just comply? So okay, where's your line then?
All the time. I mean, I think it's interesting because when I started my wedding and shall we call it a lifestyle photography business, you kind of have this split in Hong Kong between the very, very overproduced Asian Hong Kong style photography, local photography, and the Western style, which is basically to show very authentically everything, right? Like all wrinkles, all flaws. So I kind of had to pitch myself in between because I like the authenticity of Western photography in the sense that I was in London for a long time. I grew up on that aesthetic. I don't really enjoy the overproduced Hong Kong style one, but you know that there's, to get business, you kind of have to somehow massage it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
In such a way that, so what I tend to do is I say things like, I'll smooth your skin, I'll get rid of the acne, but I don't do things like, I'm going to Photoshop in a friend who couldn't make your wedding.
So you actually just flat out say
flat
no.
out I won't say. I just think it's disingenuous to the whole process of being a photographer, right? Because I still want to capture reality at some point, right?
You're only
Otherwise, it just becomes graphic design. It becomes a different skill set.
I mean, so
right?
your line is basically you would it's kind of like enhance at most, but not completely change.
Correct.
The
I think blemishes and kind of like like you say, like kind of enhancing it. But I think I don't want to make it into some kind of like science fiction thing.
Wow.
I'm going through your website, justinlimphoto.com, for people who want to check you out. But you obviously have very different kinds of styles of your photography. So you have events, you have food photos, you have interior design and all stuff like that. We'll get into the different styles, but what is your favorite or the most challenging? Like, for example, in stand-up comedy, we have shows that are corporate gigs, right? Sometimes they're not ideal and we don't really like them, but that's where the big money is, right? But we have shows sometimes that are just like in the black box theater that is just perfect. It just feels good. And it can be no money, but we're enjoying ourselves so much creatively. It's more rewarding. Do you have a certain category of photography that you find it more rewarding creatively, not necessarily in terms of financial gain?
Yeah, of course. I think all three of us at this table probably know that whole scene where sometimes you take a gig knowing you probably don't enjoy it that much, but it kind of benefits like your wallet.
Yeah, your
right?
quotation is
like you can do it.
People agree. You're like, what?
Like you can do it. You know you're gonna get paid well, but maybe you don't enjoy it that much. Actually, funnily enough, given Hong Kong Instagram's obsession with food photos. I have shot for a lot of the hotels and restaurants in Hong Kong, but actually I don't enjoy food that much in the sense that I like looking at the final photo I've taken. I don't enjoy the process so much because I think food photography is very specific, and ultimately you're dealing in still life, right?
Yeah.
So I like people emotion.
There's no emotion.
I like exactly. So that's why I think weddings called out to me in that sense, because although weddings are difficult, you at least come across a sense of like realness in people, authenticity, the moment, living the moment. Yeah. So food's not great. So that's not one of my favorites. But yeah, of course, if I get a good gig, I do it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like it's probably like a live lobster, like make emotions out of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
well, in that case, it is live. Yeah.
So it's like I can take a shot of fear. Okay.
Yeah. I did a shoot for one of the Macau casinos once where they were I think they were trying to do some lobster kind of shoot.
Yeah.
And they had, their whole concept was to have this kind of poof of like flour or smoke appear from behind the chef.
Yeah.
And we went through quite a few bags of flour, and I'm like, this is kind of not. It looks kind of like
it's staged,
dirty.
Right?
It doesn't look very good.
Yeah, exactly. The petals flying in the air.
Again, professional photographer problems, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then how much... so when someone hires you for a gig, how open are you to get like guidance? Like in comedy, okay, so you get a corporate gig, and the thing I really don't like, and I usually reject as well, when so we want you to talk about, COVID, I'm just like, okay, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. My job is to make you laugh, all right? As long as you laugh, regardless of whatever I say, I don't offend you, you laugh, we're good. So how much of the guidelines do you accept from clients, or are you open to that?
That's a really interesting question as well. I think one of the things I would say is as I got older and more experienced, my tolerance for bullshit went down.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, also the small things I tend to let slide now in a way, because you think, okay, look, it's not going to kill me to do it, so I do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes they come up with requests that sound vaguely ridiculous to anyone who's normal.
Yeah.
But to me, somehow don't sound that ridiculous. So I do them.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like if you look at my Instagram or my wedding website, the one that you pointed out, I actually don't post about 80% of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
I post the stuff I like, right?
Yeah,
right.
Fair enough.
So like, I know, social media people tend to overpost. I actually underpost, if anything. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting in the sense that because as I got more accomplished, I tend to like flat out reject things that I know, like, okay, I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then if I know it's just like a minor irritants, in the old days, maybe I'm like, this is like totally like digging into my whole like vibe and ethos and everything. Now I'm just like, you know what, I'll just do it.
What's an example of a request that you're like, just let slide, but it's kind of annoying.
Is it one of those like, oh, we're gonna count to 3 and jump in the air, catch that shot? You're like, oh god.
Yeah.
Please stop
Again, I must be fair in the sense that I love all my clients, but
No, fair,
you
I get
do
it.
get odd requests.
Yeah.
Like sometimes at the weddings they just want some specific things, like okay, we went on this trip in like 10 years ago to Toronto, and we saved all these I don't know what, like
Coins in a
souvenir
jar.
coins and
Yeah.
or ticket stubs and stuff,
Yeah.
and we want you to do a shot somehow incorporating all of that into like the
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah.
So you get things like that. But actually, I find that kind of nostalgic in a cheesy
Yeah.
way, right? And again, look, I'm a businessman as well as a photographer, so I think like you just kind of have to know how to massage it in a way that on the one hand your whole profile doesn't come across as too cheesy.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I like to think of myself as some kind of artiste at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But at the same time, again, I'm a very tolerant person. I think whatever makes people happy at the end of the day is
Yeah.
what gets you over the line, right?
Right.
So it's I think in our business, you kind of don't want to piss off the clients too much, because at the end of the day, I think I'm in the business of making people happy.
What's
Yeah.
a message that you would say to a future clients? Like, please don't ask me this.
Yeah, again, it's odd because obviously when you do shoots, people come in a variety of like clothing and all kinds of things. I'm not very into things like I'll tell you one.
Yeah.
I got somehow introduced to someone who wanted to do an underwater pregnancy shoot.
Okay.
And of course, when you see those conceptual shoots in like Vogue in Italy, they look
Right.
really
Yeah.
like fantastic
Yeah.
with like the water, like the dress billowing out.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
this girl somehow got this kind of cheap knockoff dress from Taobao, and it looked really wet and floppy. And I
Yeah.
didn't have the heart to tell her I don't think it's gonna work. So somehow you kind of struggle through it, and I had to buy like the underwater casing for
Yeah,
the camera.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, there's a guy here I think who just does that kind of underwater shooting
Okay,
now.
okay.
But anyway, I didn't think I was gonna be the guy, but she thought I was the guy. So again, I think sometimes you have to draw the line with what you can and can't do. I like to think they didn't look that bad in the end, but I knew it wasn't going to be something that was like a 10 out
So
of 10.
you're underwater in a pool?
Yeah.
And, okay. And
Yeah.
then you're shooting her. in
With
like
her pregnant belly out. And
Oh.
Yeah.
This is a dumb question. What's the point?
So water breaks? I don't know.
Again, I think this is a question obviously that I get a lot, like because obviously in the to use the cliche term, though, in the Western mind or the expat mind. Like they want photos that are very authentic. Like you
Yeah.
capture us on the day. We don't like this kind of stage stuff.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah,
all
yeah.
know in Hong Kong what a massive market the whole pre-wedding stage
Yeah.
photography is, right?
He's holding her
And then
at-
I think
yeah.
over the years it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier, right? Because
Yeah.
everyone's always got an idea. So come back to your question about weird requests. Yeah, you literally get people who want you to emulate something they saw in a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get the really artsy ones. I remember one couple asked me to do something Wong Kar-wai like.
Wow, okay,
that's
yeah.
gorgeous, right? That can be gorgeous if they're
Yeah.
wearing like the traditional dress
Yeah.
and in a
The
very kind of
Trans-Salmon stuff.
retro
Yeah.
environment. But then you get really odd ones as well, right? That just don't
Yeah.
look like anything or should be anything, but yet somehow someone thinks, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what
Actually,
I want.
Yeah.
That's what
That
I
gets me
want.
to my next point because
Yeah.
I live in Saigon and
Yeah.
close to my place there is the temple on Hollywood Road. And right next to it there is a staircase
Yeah.
or a stairwell rather.
Yeah.
There is always people taking professional photos there. It's usually girls in Qipao and hanging out by the temple, which I guess the temple can make a beautiful background, but it's
Yeah.
that particular staircase.
Yeah.
People are always
I
there
think it's
taking
Ladder
professional
Street,
photos.
right? Ladder Street.
Is it Ladder Street? Are you familiar with that at all?
Yeah, my studio is actually very close to there. So my studio's on
He's
Go-
like, so
yeah.
that's where I
So
take
is
my
that
shots.
area
I
famous for?
I have been there a few times to say the
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think if you were to broadly split the clientele, some of them really love, as you know, like especially like with the expats, they love the Hong Kong, the rawness. They like all the urban,
Yeah.
tall buildings. They want to capture some of that.
Right.
And then you get the people in Hong Kong who are very maybe a little bit more local sometimes, and they're like, no, I want my pre-wedding to shoot to look like it's in New Zealand or something.
Yeah.
And obviously some of them do fly to New Zealand.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, in Hong Kong, you don't really have those kind of trees.
Yeah,
and,
you don't
and
have
snow-capped mountains or
you can
whatever.
tell, exactly.
So you kind of have that split. But yeah, a lot of my expat clients love going around that kind of Soho, Ladder Street
Yeah.
area.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I get a lot of clients who do things like they're like, oh, I'm leaving Hong Kong soon. I just want to remember Hong Kong this way. And then you end up shooting somewhere quite cheesy, like some bar. And so I'm like, wow, you want to remember Hong Kong this way? Huh?
Yeah.
Like you want to
They're like-
remember it outside Staunton's. Yeah, that's great.
That's the memory. Okay, they're like, that's all I know.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So if you're actually listening right now and you're really curious about Justin's photography, go to Instagram. The handle is Hurting Bombs with the letter Z at the end. I'm very curious. Why Hurting Bombs? Because I know, like, as comedians, when we bomb on stage, it hurts, but I don't get what's going to do with photographers.
Okay, so this is kind of a stupid story because basically it was my old gamer name from like 20 years ago or something.
What was the game? What was the game?
When I mean, actually, I don't play that many violent games, funny enough. I play a lot of FIFA and stuff like that, right?
So your name on FIFA was hurting bombs?
Yeah, but there's a more technical explanation, but I'll save it. But anyway, so I had this name, and then a lot of people think this story is bullshit, but actually it's completely true. So what happened was I installed Instagram whenever it was 10, 11, 12 years ago. Yeah. So I used the same social media profile. I used like Hurting Bombs as the name. Yeah. Because a lot of people always ask me, why isn't something more professional like Justin Lim Photography? So, and then I was lucky enough that as I got traction, I was getting more and more followers through my personal work. Yeah. Instagram actually called out to me. So they were like, hey, dude, we want to feature you in one of our blog posts, which is why I got followers very rapidly at that point. And we also want to like in the old days when you installed the app, they would be like, oh, people you can follow. Yeah. And I was one of those people you could follow when you installed the app. But then I signed this whole waiver and disclaimer with their legal team. And being a lawyer, I tend to be quite abiding, shall we say. So one of the terms was you can't change your name. Wow. You stay on Instagram, you can't change your name.
Really?
So even when I became like this whole wedding... Yeah, I have to keep it. I'm sure now they wouldn't say anything, right?
Yeah, I'm sure by now they're like
10 years ago.
Also, they haven't even verified you. They should at least verify you.
Well, yeah, I'm not even verified, funny enough. But anyway, yeah. So that was what happened. So when I eventually when I became quite known for weddings and stuff, and I do have a secondary wedding account. But anyway, I just kept my name because I was like, you know what, it is what it is. It's my name. Right?
Well, you need to definitely right now go to Instagram.com/hurtingbombs with the letter Z at the end.
Yeah, we will link it in the description as well.
To see the ultimate OG.
There seemed to be
too kind.
There seemed to be a bit of a trend in the photography world of people going back to film.
Yes,
it's a pretty big deal. I mean, I'm not in that word, but I follow it. Like I'm a fan basically, and it seems like a lot of the people that I follow closely, it seems like they like film now. Yeah. And so is that just some sort of a trend that is gonna go away eventually?
I think it's great because when I first came back to Hong Kong, I think from London, I think it was about 2003. I was shooting film still, and I'm actually I'm probably like the last generation of professional photographer who did train on film before it completely became digital. So actually I feel very privileged by that because my timing was good. Like when
do you develop it at home?
I used to in the UK, not anymore. It's too restricting in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. So slow down because I'm very interested in this. From watching movies and stuff. Is it like you hang it like laundry in like a dark room?
It never looks as glamorous as when you see it in The Crown or James Bond or whatever.
Every now and then in your film there's a one shot of a dead body. Like, how did I take that shot? So what's going on?
But yeah, anyway, when I came back to Hong Kong in around 2003, I think at that point film was starting to die a bit because you were starting to get the first digital bodies. And so actually I was part of a kind of unofficial social media group called the Hong Kong Analog Photography Group. And we would go out on photo walks and we would hang out with people, which in those days was quite a small group of people who just wanted to keep film alive. But the funny thing, as you point out, is that now because of the prevalence of Instagram, people got so into photography that conversely, they were like, hey, what's cool and hip and what can we get into that's not just taking photos with my iPhone? And now film is massive again. I mean, kind of this, as you know, this kind of reverse hipsterism of some kind, right? Where like somehow it shouldn't work, but it works just like with people collecting vinyl again.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hilarious because even now when I go into some of the old Hong Kong, like the old camera stores where they develop film the kind of old way, you always get these kind of like Hong Kong U or like university girls or college girls kind of like just strolling and they're kind of like totally lost. But then they ask the guy like, oh, we want to shoot film and can you tell us like, which are good? So I find that quite cute that in a way it's kind of come back.
Yeah, because like the last film camera I used was one of those lomography, those cameras. Because so this is the thing, right? I was given a camera for free and this was way back before the concept of influencer KOLs didn't exist, right? And they gave it to me and I was like, oh, okay. And I just let it sit there. And after like a month, I'm like, so you're going to use it? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. What do I have to do with it? Like take photos, dude. And then I'm like, oh, so I open it up and I'm like, oh, it's a film thing? I'm like, wait a second. So I got to develop it myself? They're like, yeah. I'm like, wait, you got me there. But it was quite interesting because the mentality is different. So with digital photography, we always have the free flow of like, whatever, take the shot first, who cares later on. But with film, is always that discipline. And I've been reading books as well where some of the best photographers, like one of my old web clients called Basil Powell, he used to do a lot of photography for Michael Palin.
Yeah, I remember about that.
Right, Basil, I have like all his photo books and everything he publishes because like I know the guy and I'm just like in awe. I'm like, this is all film? How the hell did you get these shots? And I'm just curious, like when you take the photo, do you enjoy film photography more or digital photography? Just from the concept of like, this is it, this is the shot.
Oh, I mean, I have to say, like, again, thank you for shouting out my Instagram. I mean, there's probably like a mixture of film and digital on it. But I mean, definitely, obviously, as you know, on the professional level, I'm always shooting digital for clients. So what I found so nice was a couple of years ago when I was maybe a bit under stress and under pressure to be able to dip back into film. And you're right, the process is very different because nowadays, the way we shoot these weddings and events in Hong Kong, you're firing off like just
30 frames a second,
speed,
whatever.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you're just like bang, 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 like machine gun fire, just to make sure you don't miss like the anything
that
at the wedding
moment,
or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go back and you got like these 10, 12,000 raw files and you got to sort through them and stuff. And I think you're right. Photography in film, limiting in the sense of like not being able to do quantity, but it really focuses your mind on composition and all those kind of things. And I loved kind of just going back into it the last few years. And, okay, if you're into Instagram for the likes and stuff, maybe you think, film, well, that's not going to be good. It's not going to be like somehow sexy or whatever. But in a strange way, because like you say, people are so interested in shooting Hong Kong on film again. I think like even in terms of like social media engagement, like you post film photos, they do great now.
Yeah, I saw a bit. I think there is a hashtag film is not dead. It's quite big. Okay, so do you find it particularly do you have clients who ask you for film photos?
Yeah. So the thing is, I actually only shoot film for myself because I keep that to myself. But yes, I actually have had clients say, "Would you come to my wedding and shoot it
on film?"
And I actually have to say to them, "Look, to be honest, I don't think your 90-year-old grandma is going to appreciate it when I'm loading film and we're trying to do the stage photos in the Hong Kong.
Right.
Like,
or
that doesn't work
she's going to have
context,
like red
right?
eyes or whatever.
Yeah. And I don't think not to say the film's unpredictable, but I don't think it presents itself as a business opportunity in that sense. But yeah, of course, sure. I would shoot film like on a commission basis if someone was saying like, we just want to do something like really creative as a couple and just something more artsy. Yeah, then I think in that context it works. I don't think it works in the event context very well.
Because the events is all about capturing 1,000 moments and figuring out which one's the right one.
And in a strange way, I remember one agent for like a European brand said this to me once. Like he thought of me in the Hong Kong photography world as a fixer in the sense that he had used a lot of different photographers in Hong Kong, but he always thought to me like, wow, Justin's the one guy I can parachute in. We know he's a safe bet. He'll get what we need and he'll fix whatever the last guy didn't get, right?
Yeah.
So I actually felt I felt good about that. But the way you made it sound was like, wow, that really reduces photography to something like where it's like you're like this safe bet. You're like insurance, you're coming in and you're just kind of fixing what the last guy didn't do or whatever. And but film definitely doesn't appeal to that aesthetic, as it were.
No, like what I'm always curious about with any sort of creative industry is that you've got the amateurs, you got the semi-professional, and you got the professionals, right? And you've always got the person in between who's not a professional but kind of thinks they're pro enough, like they've done enough with like, I know the terms, I know the jargon. Do you ever get people coming up to you and telling you, all right, dude, so I suggest you use the 15mm lens and I would put ISO 800. You're like, dude, what? Like, what are you talking to me about this? And how often do you get that? And does it annoy you? Like, as a comedian, I have no problem with people coming up to me like, here's a bit for you can use, right? I'm like, you can tell it to me. I will never use it. But do you get that?
So as comedians, you're probably well versed with the idea of hecklers. I think with photographers, we have this concept called Uncle Toms, who are people who come up to you. Not Uncle Toms. Uncle Toms is the racist thing, right? So I might be wrong about that.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
I'm too brown.
Sorry if I misspoke. But anyway, there's an Uncle something, right? And it's basically denotes like a boomer.
The guy who thinks
kind of guy.
He's got suggestions.
So you do get that a lot because I remember recently, it's one thing you must do as a Hong Kong professional photographer. You also try and keep your calm at events where people make remarks to you.
Yeah.
So recently I did a wedding and there was this kind of old guy. He was kind of drunk and he was going around with his iPhone, like taking a zillion photos. And he kept saying like out loud to all the guests, like, I don't know why they hired a professional photographer. Like, I'm taking way better photos than this guy. And my iPhone's like a way more megapixels than his camera.
Amen to that, dude.
And we all know those guys. And he was like really drunk and right in my face. And he kept saying it to me. And at that moment, you're like, that's at the point where I'm almost like tempted to say something back.
Dude, right. It's like,
but because you're in front of the wedding couple, you have to be really polite to their guests and stuff.
Home court advantage,
so you do get those things that are slightly triggering sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think like you're always going to run into people who think maybe that somehow professional photography. Well, I mean, as I said, a lot of people still think of this as my hobby. Like 10, 15 years
it's
down
hard
the line.
to grasp. Yeah, it's hard to grasp.
Because at the end of the day, if you do it as a business, I mean, one good thing that I'm trying not to talk myself up too much. A lot of the brides that I've worked with, they actually comment on my professionalism, and I'm always like, yeah, well, that's part of why you would get here, right? You don't just hire your uncle to do the shots because he doesn't know how to set up or stage certain things, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to organize people. A lot of what we do at events is very logistical.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not so much about your creative eye. I tell my assistant this sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not about like how great and how beautiful you make things look. It's about how you organize, because Hong Kong at the end of the day is a very business-like environment like that. Right? As you guys know it too, right?
For sure, yeah. I mean, so I've had gigs before where you have, let's say, the MC is a friend or something, and they're up there cracking one or two jokes, and they're like, well, why'd you just have to hire a comedian? I'm already making you laugh. I'm like, you need to add that. I have to go up next after you. It's going to be awkward. Now we have to be like, because I'm funnier. That's why. So you have that. Now, secondly, also, you talk about the logistics and everything. This is a side that a lot of people don't realize with any sort of creative art form, where you've got to not only do your job, get the shot, like comedians, we're actually reading the room. You got to feel it out. And I'm sure with photography, you've got to kind of guide the people to maybe do something. Like, I'm sure at local scenes you see it all the time. Like, for example, in gigs I get, if it's like a very typically Chinese company, everyone's super timid. They're like, oh, we're not laughing until the boss laughs, right? We're not moving until the boss moves, right? And you have to let people know, hey, relax, be yourself. No one's judging you at the moment. Do you have a lot of that where you are finding that you are spending more time now trying to guide your clients rather than actually even capture the shot? Like, I'll get the shot. I need you to be in the moment.
Yeah. Again, because when you're working, say, in the wedding or event photography business in Hong Kong, I would say there are, broadly speaking, there are going to be like 2 or 3 different types of clients. One type of client is kind of like very, very, and again, I don't want to stereotype, but a lot of the local clients, for example, they're super organized.
Yeah.
They have everything planned with their Excel sheet in like 5-minute blocks.
Full on,
you have to stand right there and take the shot exactly like that. Now, that can be frustrating from your creative sense of mind. But at least okay, that's what I need to do. To get over
you
the
satisfy
line,
them easily.
I'm fine.
That's what they want.
It's not going to speak to my creative soul. But at least I know, okay, I'm going to get everything within that 12 hours, right?
Correct.
That event. Then there are the types of couples who say things to you like, oh, Justin, we love your fly on the wall photography. Just do you. You do you. You go there and shoot whatever you want. And I'm like, you know what? You say that. But when we come to the thing, I'm going to have to stage a couple things for you. Because not everything in life is purely candid, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, you're gonna have some like auntie or uncle ask you, why didn't you get that photo? Like, of you guys standing under that arch or whatever, right?
Or that uncle's got it on his iPhone. He's like, you didn't get this one.
It is an interesting point, because I think as certainly in weddings, but even in general events in Hong Kong, when I do stuff for like the consulates, the fashion brands, whatever, there is a lot of organizing. And I'll tell you another funny thing about Hong Kong. Despite being an Asian country, and as an Asian country, or an Asian city, I should say.
Province.
Self-doxing there.
Hold on a second.
A city that is so obsessed with like selfies and taking photos on their phone and everything. Hong Kong people are remarkably bad at looking at the camera when you tell them to look at the camera.
Dude.
So when you'll be at a wedding and you'll say, okay, auntie, uncle, 大家望我, like everyone look at me, right? And their eyes are going left, right, down.
Like, is it because they're shy? Or
no, it's just the concept.
I think
because they're not seeing themselves in your lens. You need like an actual prompter in front of you.
So they're all lined up and everything, but somehow their eyes go everywhere, or they're blinking, or they're sitting in the wrong place. So a lot of it is about organizing people for sure.
I think that's generally also the mindset over here, where they don't realize that your eyes make the contact, and which one you want to look into the lens so we guys see you as a person. So a lot of times, like when you took the picture of me, it's like, yes, but your eyes are where we connect as humans. Do you not understand that? Like when you talk to me, we look each other in the eye. So finally, one thing I'm always curious about any creative industry, especially photography, because like I own a camera, so I know my
you'll have my job soon.
Exactly. I mean, let me just say the number of SD cards I've had to fill up.
That would be the first time an Indian takes someone else's job for cheaper.
Exactly.
Ooh, burn.
Go figure, man. I come down. He's like, hi, my name is Jagdish. I'm just his replacement. So, at what point did you realize that do you spend more of your time doing the business side of your job? Because like what I find in comedy is that the one moment I'm least stressed is when I'm actually on stage performing. When I'm doing the show, I'm like, that's my easiest time compared to everything else. What do you find like the ratio or the moments when you're like, finally, this is what I'm all about?
Yeah. So again, Hong Kong being Hong Kong, right? Sometimes I'll do a corporate gig, like some pop up at PMQ or something, like some big brand doing a launch of alcohol or something.
Yeah.
And they spend more time talking about the shoot than the actual shoot. Like I remember going into one of these meetings in Quarry Bay, and there were like 20 representatives from the PR agency.
Yeah.
And they were all like asking me like, oh, what do you think will work on Instagram? Blah blah blah. There's like so many cooks in that melting pot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, when do we actually get to the shoot?
Yeah.
But like
I will show you
but,
on.
Yeah, exactly. But like you, right? I'm very much of the person that I'm one of those people like I'm grumbling all the way up to the shoot. I'm like, God, I gotta go work. I gotta do the shoot. I gotta dress up and go to this event. Blah blah blah. When I'm in the zone and I'm working the event, I love it.
Oh yeah,
you still love it, right?
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, like last night I was at Upper House doing a wedding. I just loved everything about it.
Yeah,
like,
right.
When you're interacting with people, having a good time, having fun.
Yeah,
and it is a people business at the end of the day. Yeah, that's when I forget about all the bullshit that came on the side. Right? That's when you feel like okay, all those hours you spent marketing, and talking to all these people and planners and vendors and PR people. Yeah, just cut through all that and just do the thing.
Yeah,
right?
And
Let's get to the spicier stuff. Okay, and remember, on the podcast, sometimes the hosts are asking questions that does not mean they represent their own opinion. Okay, we represent the masses. Let's get into the models a bit, because this is a bit of I've had experiences through friends who are in that business where it gets a little touchy with the photographer sometimes, in the sense of there is this weird dynamic, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is your word, not mine. There is this weird dynamic of like, especially with Instagram, with male models, new models, who go and, for lack of better words, kind of use the relationship, the leverage that they have over younger female models. And it just gets to a weird place where it seems like a lot of guys are now using that to get access to girls that they never had access to before, but now they have some sort of talent, a camera, and they're like, oh, hey, look at me, I'm a professional photographer. Here's my Instagram account. You should come do a shoot with me.
So what he's asking, do you have a black couch in your office?
No, we'll get into that.
No, there is no black couch in my studio. There is a rattan chair, but I don't think that's very, very comfortable. I'll be very careful what I say here. I think in the early days of Instagram, I certainly came across a few people who did not necessarily want to market themselves as full-blown professionals, but they would tend to have these meetups with bunches of like models and girls, and then curate their IG profile around that. Now, I would say there's been some analysis of this amongst the professional photographer crowd. I mean, obviously, it's win-win in the sense that, as you say, people who maybe didn't have access to certain types of women do get access because they're giving them something in return, right? They're giving them hot photos of themselves, and they're trying to break into like modeling or get into an agency or whatever. So yeah. I mean, I know of people, and I know of people who have been criticized for doing that. I won't name names, obviously, but it is something.
I will tell you something.
It is a phenomenon for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I will tell you something that is just. I'm sure this is not the first time you hear it. There is a stereotype now that a lot of photographers are just creepy. Obviously you can take the professional people aside who are do weddings or babies or whatever, but there is a lot of it's a problematic area right now where I have had friends who are like, oh, I have to ask so many people who have worked with this particular person that I want to work with if he's safe to work with. Is there some sort of an internal vetting process that you guys have in that circle where it's like, okay, this person is causing damage to our reputation or something along these lines?
Yeah, again, it's hard to be very specific on names. I would say I've heard a lot of stories. I would even say I've worked with models who are relatively well known internationally. And the one thing they say is okay, yes, in Hong Kong you meet some creepy photographers, but it's still nothing on the level of what you would meet in Milan or London or New York, where people can be.
Yeah, that was obviously really had nothing to do with Hong Kong.
Sure.
About the industry.
Sure. Sure. So I mean, I think that for sure is always going to be an industry stereotype that doesn't go away. There are these, there are photographers who, and I'm not going to say I'm a saint. Of course, I've done a lot of photography that's borderline edgy or whatever. That whether it was through through clients' request or some form of collaboration. It does happen, but yeah, I think it is something that maybe, especially as the world becomes more woke, as it were. I've spoken to some models who are just I count as friends, and they're like, this is kind of the time where we now have to say, look, there's a line, and there's some of these guys who go over the line, and they need to be called out on that. So I think obviously it is a problem. I think it is an image problem. I think the industry can probably go some way into rectifying it. But in Hong Kong, actually, funnily enough, maybe in a certain way, the feminist thing isn't as strong as in other places. So because, as you say, I think there are still a lot of these kind of younger models coming out of college or high school or whatever, and they're still very willing to indulge that kind of thing,
Yeah, it seems like kind of unsettling, to be honest, because it seems like there will always be some sort of supply. As you just said, like younger girls who are maybe good looking want to get into the modeling business or acting business or whatever. So they're willing to give something that otherwise you would not do. But you also, in a way, you're like, okay, well, they're getting something as well, which is access to that photographer or like good photos or whatever it is. But it doesn't make it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand what you mean. And again, I don't know if this is something where there is an instant fix, as it were, for it. But I think even in Hong Kong, which as we all know is a very safe and generally very communal place, it still pays for some people to be careful. I don't know if there's a way, as you say, a central way of vetting it. But I think also the one good thing is generally, like, if you have a good reputation online in Hong Kong, then generally that carries forward to other people. Like, people say, yeah, I shop with him, he's fine, he's a nice guy.
Right.
Like, yeah, he might take you for a drink later, but in a totally nice way, not in a creepy way, trying to get in your pants or whatever, right? But yeah, of course, we all know stories for sure.
Back to your experience, you have also said that you have done edgy photography in a way, or edgy shoots. How did that come about, or like how comfortable you were with that, working with them?
Again, I try not to betray too many client confidences and stuff, but yeah, I have had some girls who would say things to me like, I'm turning 30 and I'm working in a boring corporate job. I'm an investment banker or a lawyer. I just want to do something really risque. Now, risque, of course, can come in many levels, right? It can come soft porn, hard porn. So I have done a couple of things that I wasn't prepared for, because maybe the sketch was, maybe the pitch was like, this shoot's going to be like this. And then I get there, I'm like, wow, this is quite obscene, or this is kind of over the top. But you're a professional, you do your job. And of course, all my friends would make fun of me. Haha, it's so great. You get like, look at free porn. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. Like, I'm actually still doing a job. I'm not paid to be like stimulated by this, But of course, friends take the piss all the time. But I think it's interesting because Hong Kong, in that sense, is such a professional place where people always have to keep their game face on all the time. You would be surprised. There are a lot of people in Hong Kong who are in positions of great power and influence. They just want to sometimes just rock it out and do something really like hot and sexy for themselves,
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so that's another interesting element of what I've done, actually. And again, I'll be very careful what I say here, but as we all know, in Hong Kong, there are all kinds of infidelities and things like that. I've had women request things like, look, I want to take hot pictures from my lover, but my husband can't know about this, and all kinds of things like that. So it does happen, and I think we all know. I won't sugarcoat it, right?
Wow. I mean, I guess that's what any sort of industry like this, where you are providing a personal service as well. So, I mean, comedy, you get similar stuff, but not to the point of they're like, okay, I want you to make me laugh, but I'll be naked. It's like, what? No,
in a way, it makes comedy sound very lame right now.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, they're like, I could never do what you do. I'm like, I wish I didn't have to do what I do.
I wanna press a little further on the morality of the business, but we're also out of time, so we're gonna have to push that to the Patreon. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. I know we have been a little difficult towards the end, but you've been very patient with us. Can you plug your socials? How do people find you? Just tell our audience a little bit about your business.
So obviously I have my official website, but I think the best way for anyone to connect with me is through my Instagram. As mentioned, it's Hurting Bombs with a Z on the end. I also have a wedding-specific Instagram, which is the Candid with a K. And also, if I may just also plug this, I recently sold out my first ever NFT series.
Oh, nice!
Wow.
So that's through a company called Sloika, which I've been working with very closely. But I also have a second series now available on OpenSea. So if you go to OpenSea and search for Hong Kong Stories, you'll find my NFTs that haven't been sold yet.
Yeah.
You're also gonna find, if you go on Hurting Bums, it's mostly photos of like female models are very attractive. So that would be fun.
I like to think of them as friends, but yeah.
I mean, I didn't say anything that is untrue. I said they're female, they're models, and they're attractive.
Yeah.
This is all true, isn't it?
I sense jealousy.
You don't tell any lies.
I am very jealous. Can you not tell?
Oh, definitely, man.
I think we should get you two in the boudoir and do something. Maybe we save that for the Patreon part. Book you guys a suite in the Murray, and
I'm 39. It's time to do something risque.
You're 39?
Yeah, dude.
Dude, you look terrible.
This is why I believe in Photoshop.
Justin, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks, guys. It's been an honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.